Good evening, folks. As promised, tonight we're going to talk about sauces and gravy. Now, I've mentioned in my videos before that if you can master sauces and gravies and it's not that difficult, you can really dress up a meal. And if you're a single person out there and you want to cook for your potential significant other, a good thing to throw in there. If you know how to make some good sauces and make a nice dinner for them, a man isn't the only way that you can reach their heart through their stomach. Believe me, women like a good cook too. So let's talk about sauce. It can be made lots of different ways, but you have basic ingredients for those. One is some type of fat, no matter what it is, and we'll go over the different kinds, with equal parts of flour. There's other starches that you could use, but I'm accustomed to using flour, so I don't know how to adapt different types of flour that may thicken differently, but that does not mean that you cannot experiment with different kinds of flour in little small batches and see how it comes out. If you're not big on wheat flour, or maybe you got to be gluten-free or something like that. I don't even know if you can get gluten-free using some type of starch as a thickener, but it's a possibility maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of people that know a lot more about that than I do. So let's talk about the basic ingredients and how many different ways that you can go about this. So here's what we call Sauce 101. And let's get this where we don't have a shadow on it here. So, sauce and gravy. You're looking at equal parts of some type of fat. And you can see there's lots of different types of fat. Butter, different kinds of oils, olive oil, whatever. Olive oil would be better for your heart issues. Animal fat, like if you've cooked a roast or something in a pan, you can separate the juice from the fat, and we'll talk about the juice a little bit later. Or you can do a combo of both. If you saw our video the other night with the pot roast, we didn't have, oh no, it wasn't the pot roast, it was the 500-mile breakfast. We did not have enough of the bacon grease to make our gravy, so we added in some butter. And you can do that. You can do combinations of different fats as long as you have the proper amount. So then you got to talk about liquids. So we're going to skip over some of this stuff at first, but I put it in the middle for a reason. So liquids, you're talking water, milk, different types of stock, beef stock, chicken stock, whatever kind of stock, vegetable stock, doesn't matter. Meat juices, like when you've roasted, remember we talked about pan drippings, if you separate the meat juice from the fat in like a measuring cup, you can use those juices for your sauce. You can use fruit juices. There's people that use put a little bit of orange juice in or something like that. You can use wine, you can use beer, and you can use blends of stuff. Say you're using wine. I don't recommend that you use 100% of wine because then you're going to get a very strong flavored sauce. The most I would go would be about half wine and either half stock or water or something like that. But the sky's the limit on the liquids. Let's talk about aromatics. So the reason I put aromatics over here, you want to cook your aromatics with whatever fat you're going to use before you add your flour. So obviously you got your fats measured out and your flour measured out. So you would have your fat in your pan and you would throw in whatever aromatics you want, onions, garlic, peppers, mushrooms, herbs. I recommend fresh herbs, but you can use dry. Just remember you have to use 1/3 of what you would use fresh. And spices, I normally add in after we put the liquid in. So I guess maybe I should add this column over here. But you can season it however you want, salt, pepper, different kind of spice blends. I use bouillon powder a lot of times because you get the salt plus the flavor of whatever bouillon powder you use. You can put some heat in it with some cayenne pepper, crushed red pepper. You can even make it sweet if you want like a sweeter sauce. You can add some type of sweetness like sugar or honey or something like that. You can go berserk with sauce. So let's take a couple of these and do a for instance. Say we wanted to make a cream sauce to go over some cooked cauliflower. I would take butter. I would take butter and flour, of course, and milk, salt and pepper, and make a gravy out of that and pour it over some cooked cauliflower, and you have creamed cauliflower. Very simple. Say you wanted to make a beef gravy to go with roast beef. So take either your animal fats from the pan or some type of oil. You could use olive oil, like I said, if you want to make it a little more heart healthy. You can use butter or a combination of anything. So start with that with your flour, salt and pepper, maybe some rosemary or onions or garlic or anything like that, and beef stock. And then you have a nice beef gravy. Say you're making Thanksgiving dinner. You take your fat from your cooking your turkey out of your roaster pan, or you do some type of oil. You separate your fat from your pan drippings or your meat juices. So equal fats, equal flour, and then whatever spices or aromatics you want, and chicken stock or your juices from cooking your turkey juice. Add that in with your liquids, and you have a nice chicken or turkey gravy for your Thanksgiving meal. Say you cook a ham. If you've never had a ham gravy, it's fantastic. You got the juice down in the pan, and you've glazed your ham and all that, and it's got kind of a sweet flavor. So you take your fat, add your meat juices from cooking your ham with a little salt and pepper or whatever you like, onions, and you have ham gravy. The sky is absolutely the limit. Doing a sauce for like when you cook a real nice steak and you sear a nice steak, I would go with some butter. I would go with some garlic and some mushrooms and beef stock or meat juices from when you're cooking in your pan, and a little salt and pepper, maybe rosemary, and you got a really nice little sauce that you can use on your sliced up steak. And in that case, you want to make sauce, not gravy, of course. But you can see where you can go 100 different ways with this. Now, add-ins. Say you make a basic cream sauce with just your butter, your flour, and your milk, and salt and pepper. You can throw in some cheeses, 2 or 3 different types of cheeses, melt them right down into the sauce. Don't overload it to where it gets all stringy, but put maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of 2 or 3 different types of cheeses, and then you could pour that over some cooked macaroni, and you have basically a macaroni and cheese. You could then take that and throw it in a dish and bake it in the oven, maybe with some cornflake crust crumbs over the top, and bake it like that, or some panko breadcrumbs and brown the top. That would be really good. You can add tomato products to your basic cream sauce or whatever sauce you like up here and give it kind of a tomatoey kick, and then maybe throw some Parmesan cheese on it. Put that over some pasta. Say you're making a clam chowder. So a good base to your clam chowder is obviously would be your butter, and throw in some onions, garlic, pepper, a little bit of thyme for your herbs, some salt, and use some of your clam juice in your mix along with some milk and some cream. Throw some cream in the mix and make it super creamy, and your potatoes, and you basically have a clam chowder. Salt and pepper would be really good. You can add chocolate to a basic cream sauce and give it a little chocolatey flavor, say like for chocolate gravy or something like that. We do have a recipe for chocolate gravy if you check out our channel. It's really good. So say you have just some liquid that you want to thicken. You can thicken it with a roux made out of this, equal parts fat and flour, and then dump your liquid from whatever you've made into the pan to thicken it up, and then just incorporate it all together and thicken your mix. Or some other versions is you can use a cornstarch slurry, put some cornstarch, maybe a couple tablespoons in a little dish, and stir it up with just enough water to make it a slurry. You don't want it very thick because then it'll get lumpy when you pour it into your hot liquid. But make a slurry and then slowly pour it into your mix, stirring it while you do it, and it'll thicken your mix. Another good option is potato flakes. So your freeze-dried potatoes, those are real potatoes. Some people think they're fake potatoes, but they're actually real. And what they do is they cook the potatoes and they turn it into a thin slurry, and then they will dry it out. They will cook and evaporate the liquid out of it to make it a dry kind of it almost looks like a potato chip material when it comes off of the rollers. And then they grind it into the flakes, and all you do is re-add water to the mix, so it's still potatoes, folks. But you can dump potato flakes right into your mixture little by little until it gets the consistency you want, like say a beef stew or something like that. That would be a good way to thicken that. So let's talk about ratios. If you remember our ratios from our previous videos, we use a 1/4 cup of fat, 1/4 cup of flour to 2 cups liquid, whatever liquid you want, or whatever combination. And that makes a really good gravy. And if you want to feed more people, that'll feed about 2 people, like biscuits and gravy in the morning. Say you got 4 people, just double it, and that'll give you enough for 4 people, and so on and so on. So just double it, triple it, quadruple it, whatever. So if you're going to make a sauce, which is not quite as thick as a gravy, all you do is you don't use as much of the roux. Say you want it as half as thick as gravy, you would just cut your roux in half. So instead of a 1/4 cup of fat and a 1/4 cup of flour, you would use like 1/8 of a cup of fat and flour, and that would give you a pretty good consistency for a sauce where it would like coat the back of a spoon is what you're looking for. But you can scale that up a little bit, add half again more, and then you're halfway between the sauce and the gravy if you want to be in that range. Super simple, so easy. So let's show you a ratio that we have here that you can maybe use as a rule of thumb. So the gravy ratio, 1 part fat, 1 part flour, 8 parts liquid. So you can scale that up or down as much as you want. So say you wanted to use tablespoons. You could use 1 tablespoon fat, 1 tablespoon of flour, 8 tablespoons of liquid, which would be, what, half a cup? Because there's 4 tablespoons in a 1/4 cup. Learn your measurements, folks. It really helps out. You can make this cups. 1 cup of fat, 1 cup of flour, 8 cups of liquid, which would be 2 quarts, right? So you can scale it up or down. So that's why I put it into parts. So for an example, 1 part fat, 1 part flour, 8 parts liquid would be 1/4 cup fat, 1/4 cup flour, 2 cups liquid. There's our standard, what we use for just 2 people. Now sauce ratio, you just up your liquid or decrease your parts of your roux. So I just up the liquid here. So it's still 1 part fat, 1 part flour, and then you just go 12 to 16 parts of liquid. So again, you can use tablespoons, you could use 1/4 cups, you could use half a cup, so that'd be 1/2 cup, 1/2 cup, and 12 to 16 1/2 cups. So if you cut that in half, you can turn that into cups. So instead of doing 12 half cups, you'd do 6 cups. It'd be just basically really easy. So 1/8 of a cup, 1/8 of a cup, 2 cups. That would be half of your standard roux recipe just to make like a nice sauce. Now I hope that's not too confusing. It doesn't seem confusing to me, but I do it all the time. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I look at all the comments and I try to answer every question and comment. We haven't got so big that we can't do that yet. We have got big enough to where I can't keep announcing all of our new subscribers. If you've seen our channel, it's pretty much blown up to where there for a while we were getting like 100 new subscribers a day. So now we're down to, after Christmas, we're back down to about 10 new subscribers a day, something like that. But I hope this helps you out. The sky is the limit. Get in the kitchen and try a bunch of different recipes of different liquids, different aromatics. Just start thinking about this stuff, and your mind will just go wild with what you can do with gravies and sauces. So we'll see you next time, folks. I hope you stay safe and stay healthy. We love you guys. We'll catch you later.